Okay. You good? All right. Welcome everyone to the April 11th Neshoba Regional School Committee. This is a regular meeting. We're calling the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. We've got some guests. And I think if it's okay with the committee, I'd like to have our guests go first. I know there's a couple people in the audience who are citizens' comments. One. Hello. Hi. Do you mind if we let the students go first? I think it would be really nice. So why don't you turn it over to you?
Well, actually, I think I'm going to turn it over to Principal DiDomenico, who's going to introduce the staff and students. We are thrilled to have you here tonight. We're so looking forward to what you're going to bring us. So thank you very much for taking time out of busy lives to come here tonight. So thank you, thank you. So Principal DiDomenico, we'll turn it over to you to introduce who we've got here tonight.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure. I love showing these guys off. They. Whether it's at a concert or stopping by the office to serenade the administrative assistants, their vocal cords are always greatly appreciated, and they are under the able direction of our music teacher, Rachel Glenister, and I will turn it over to Rachel at this time.
Hello. So this is a portion of our concert choir. Not all voices could be here. We just performed at the Micah Festival this year and received a silver rating, which was awesome. And then our chamber choir group, which had been in a Medal of Merit drought for a while, also got a silver. So we're very excited this year. And we've got one song from Micah for you tonight, and then one other song that we did in our concert, and we'll do at Relay for Life. And just a note, we've got the Wednesday after break coming up, the Arts Showcase, which we have some flyers for. Our May Pops concert on Friday the 18th, and our first district-wide choral concert on Monday, May 21st, ending with 2 Everyone songs, and it's going to be big and epic, and you should all be there. So here we go. This is a promposal gone wrong.
Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said no. Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said no. Johnny said no, 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 Johnny said no. Johnny was a handsome boy who lived beyond the river. In the spring he'd come to town and catch the young girls' eyes. When the girls would talk to him, young Johnny's voice would quiver with a shy and nervous tone, and all the girls would sigh. Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said, Johnny said, Johnny said no, 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 Johnny said no. Johnny take me to the hayride. I'll be true to only you, and you'll be true to me. When the moon shines o'er the glen, I want you there by my side. Johnny, don't you understand? Your wife I want to be. Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said no. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny dear, Johnny dear. All the girls in town will cry the day I marry Johnny. I'll bat my eyes and softly sigh and wait for his reply. But Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said, Johnny said no, 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 Johnny said, Johnny said, Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said, Johnny said, Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said, Johnny said, Johnny said no, Johnny said no, Johnny said, Johnny said no.
So the title isn't actually Promposal Gone Wrong. It's Johnny Said No, but we like to present it that way. And then this is one that we can all relate to every once in a while, and you will hear at Relay. Right.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, sister, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Call me when you need a friend. Call me, oh baby, just call me when you need a friend. Call me, I'm telling you, call me when you need a friend. Call me, oh baby, just call me when you need a friend. Call me, I'm telling you, call me, call me, call me.
Come back like every meeting, please. Amazing work.
Amazing.
Love it, love it.
Oh my gosh. Just beautiful. The harmonies and the exact precision and the key change. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. What an amazing performance. And as always, what great work. Oh my goodness. You're wonderful representatives in our district. And we congratulate you on the silver medal win. That's just so amazing too. So cool. Thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. You really made our nights. Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to turn it over to citizens' comments. I need to know how many folks in the audience have a comment that they'd like to make. One individual. So, hello. I'm going to ask if you, every time we do this, I just go through the policies really quickly. And then I'd like you to give us your name and the town that you're from. So we've got two policies that dictate how we handle citizens' comments. Well, I know that there are many that don't believe that, but we really do have two policies, and they are policy KE and VEDH. And I know you've heard me say this before, but this is not a discussion. It's really an opportunity for the community members to come forward and share their thoughts and their feelings and their concerns or their kudos, if we ever get those, with the school committee. And then if there's something that's of concern, I might ask the superintendent to step in really quickly, but many times they'll take it under advisement. We're going to limit it to 3 minutes, but if you go a little bit over, I'm pretty generous about that. So tell us your name and the town you're from.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Whaler. I'm from Stowe. I have 2 kids in the district, 3 kids in the district, 2 in the elementary school in Stowe, and 1 who's a high school senior. And I saw that you had recess on the agenda for tonight, and I just wanted to come and talk about that because that's been of growing importance to me and my family over the past couple of months, I'd say a year or so. And excuse me as I read from some notes because I get nervous talking in front of groups. So, I just feel that recess is a really important topic, and I want to affirm to the school board the importance of recess to our kids. It's an important outlet for all children, and it really enhances their ability to learn and control their behavior when they're in the classroom. So not just the academics, but the behavioral aspect of it. Recess, and in particular, more recess, I think, is a win-win-win for students, for teachers, and for administrators. I think the students, they improve their learning and their physical and mental well-being. Teachers, they're going to see fewer behavioral issues and more efficient learning because the kids are getting their energy out on the playground, and they can come back in and be ready to focus in the classroom. And administrators, you're going to see fewer behavioral referrals, you're going to have happier teachers and happier parents, and you're going to see higher test scores, I truly believe, and research backs that up. I think what sparked this for me was that there's current legislation in the State House regarding recess, but I'd really like our district to be proactive about what's best for our children here and not wait for a law to be created before we work on our own policies. So I'd like to ask the district to consider a couple of things. First, if you would consider increasing the amount of recess time district-wide, particularly in our elementary schools, but also in our middle schools, because those kids need to move too. And here's why. New research suggests that there are both behavioral and learning improvements with more than one daily recess, not the overall amount of time, but the number of separate times they get to go out and move, and particularly outside. Then there's a substantial body of existing research through the years which supports the idea that learning increases when children have more opportunities for unstructured outdoor play. So not games that are organized, but just letting them go and explore and do their own things. Third, we have several nearby very high-performing districts which give their kids more than one recess break in the school over the course of the school day. And I know at least one district that schedules recess for middle school, and that's Concord. I did a really brief informal search that turned up that Lexington, Concord, and Westford all specified 2 recess periods per day. There are probably more, but I didn't do an exhaustive search. That was a brief internet search. I'd like to ask the school committee to create a policy to ensure consistency across our schools, and I know that that is generally the goal, that you do apply things across all schools in the district, in terms of a minimum amount of time and then the conditions for unstructured outdoor play. So this would include guidance on indoor recess, such as when is it acceptable, under what conditions, certain weather conditions, what are the parameters for when recess does not get to be outside. I'd like to ask the district to consider a policy discouraging and even forbidding the removal of recess as a punishment for elementary school students. This does happen. I'd like the district to consider creating a study group or a committee of parents and teachers to make recommendations back to the administration regarding updating our recess policies. I welcome the opportunity to participate and talk about that in any way I can, but I know my time's limited here, and I just want to say thank you for bringing this up and putting it on the agenda. I think it's really important.
I really appreciate your comments. The reason it's on the agenda is because of you and several other parents who reached out, but because you directly asked about it, and then it was just like the radar was up and people were talking about it. And I know over the past few years I've heard it from parents as well, and I think that that's why it found its way on the agenda. I want to make sure people understand that doesn't mean that, if we're going to talk about egg salad versus tuna salad, that's not necessarily, but this has a district-wide implications and impact. And I think it's really important because I have 3 kids that have gone through the system. I'm still in the system. I'm not that old. But I don't know what the district's perspective is on it. I know what my school's was. So that's why I asked Superintendent Clenchey, hey, maybe it makes sense for us to share with the community, this is your philosophy, this is how it works, this is your philosophy on it. And when we get to that point in the agenda, we'll hear some more about that. But I really appreciate the comments that you made. Certainly you did your own research and the approach that you took. It's really very positive and helpful. So thank you very much for that. And I hope that you're going to stay to hear the rest of this.
I'll be here.
All right. Thank you so much.
Can I speak too? I just want to echo what Chairman Romosco had said too. I appreciated your emails. I appreciated the tone and the approach that you took towards us. So thank you very much.
All right, I've only got a couple, I'm not even sure it's a couple, on my updates, school committee chair updates. Subcommittees and minutes, where are we? Is everyone up to date? Personnel is. Finance is finance.
No.
No.
Where are you?
The chair is in possession of several minutes that we're waiting for his final draft to get produced. I think we've approved a number of minutes and have not gotten them out of his hands to be posted.
Okay, so we went through this last year. I will reach out to him, but we're you know, just as a matter of course and respect to the rest of the committee and the community, it's really important that you stay on top of those because they don't know what's going on and it's really critical. So I will reach out to him, and then I'm just going to encourage you guys to press to make sure that at your next budget and warrant, you could encourage just to plow through those minutes like you do at personnel. Policy, how are you doing?
We're all set.
You're all caught up.
Yeah.
All right.
Except one we need to approve next time.
All right.
Everything's posted.
So hopefully by the time we meet again, those will all be done. All right, because you can still meet without the chair with your quorum and power through those minutes and ask for his notes, right? Yeah.
There were some minutes, I generally do the minutes, the meetings that I was unable to attend.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't approve minutes if I was not at a meeting.
You can abstain.
But if there's only two of us, there's one person and myself.
All right, so I'll reach
So
out to
I don't know
him.
what the answer is, but that's the situation that
Okay.
we're finding.
All right. I'll reach out to him. We need to get those done. Okay, thank you. And Isabel, student representative report.
Sure. So starting off out with athletics, the lacrosse team started the season as we are now able to hold games on the turf field. The boys are 2-0 and the girls are 1-1, and the rest of the high school teams have not competed in the game yet due to the weather and field conditions, but we're hoping it warms back up and we can get back to a regular schedule. I know that facilities has been really good to both the baseball and the softball players, and everyone's very anxiously awaiting their first games. From the arts, we have 15 middle school music students from all 3 towns that have been chosen to participate in the CDMMEA honors ensembles. These students, along with 700 other middle school students from Worcester County, will be rehearsing and preparing for their concert at Blackstone Millville Regional High School at the end of the month. Miss Gunnister, who you just saw, is the high school choir teacher and has been in charge of the choir part of the honors ensembles this year. On Wednesday, April 25th, the high school is performing and visual arts will be holding their annual arts showcase, which you heard about. It's the opening night of the showcase that will last until Friday the 27th in the NRHS library, and the show is open from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and will feature artwork from students from all visual arts courses, as well as a coffee hour kind of style for the music students. There will be a featured NRHS jazz combo throughout the night as well, and the foods class will be providing snacks for the event, so a very collaborative event. And I know that most art classes or music classes will also take the class time during those days, sometimes even English classes, and go look at other students' artwork, and a lot of the high school students really appreciate that. You can see what your peers are doing. It's very interesting. The Neshoba Cadet EMTs had a very successful CPR marathon this past weekend, raising over $1,000 for the scholarships for senior EMTs. It's a 24-hour marathon, so there's CPR being done on a dummy with breaths and everything else for 24 hours straight. Everyone takes shifts, sleeps over in the high school. It's very exciting. It's been a testament to the hard work of the program throughout this 30th year. And lastly, DECA is sending a group of students and teachers when we get returned from break. They're flying down to Atlanta for the national competition. It's one of the biggest groups we've had in school history. I think we had about 16 students qualify for nationals, which is huge. And everyone's looking forward to it, competing. It's business, finance, and operations management sort of competitive events. So we have going on.
Wow, wonderful.
Any questions for Isabel? No? You ready for break? Me too. Okay. So superintendent's report.
Yeah, just a short one tonight. The first item you'll see there I've got is safety. Our work continues in this area. Certainly, again, Lisa Gilbicki is taking a huge leadership role in this and doing terrific work. Again, we've met since our last meeting with the police chief and some of our police representatives. That work is ongoing. I think one of the things that we found through this, especially after Parkland happened, we sat back and really reviewed some of the intricacies of our processes, and we realized that we had some holes. And so I think the devil's always in the details, and what we've really honed in on is details. And I'm very, very pleased with the amount of work that has been accomplished in this area. Certainly our administrators continue to work diligently with us. We did some additional work last weekend, some training. And that has gone very, very well, and Lisa is a stickler for attention to detail, and I'm seeing the work that's coming out of her office, and it's just exceptional. So we're very, very pleased with the amount of movement forward in this area. School councils, I think I just wanted to send a note of thanks out to all the volunteers that sit on our local site-based school councils. I've had the opportunity to take in several meetings, and I'm just always so impressed with the quality of people that sit around the table, their input, their thinkers. It's just tremendous, and I think that they provide a great, almost like a lifeline of continual feedback to our administrators. And as I said to the group that I met with today, that input always finds its way to the administrative tables. I think sometimes if they think that they operate kind of out there and the voices don't come in, that's absolutely not true. Their voices always end up around our administrative tables. So special thanks to everyone who takes part in a school council. For budget update, of course, we know that it's done in terms of the budget's been passed, but our work has still continued, of course, with regards to producing the brochures and the binders, the budget binders. And so those are now all done. They are off to print. We should have them back in, we're expecting next week. And we'll take the same kind of process that we did last year. We dropped off binders in every one of our communities so that they were accessible. And of course, we keep binders here as well. The brochures will again be mailed out just like they always are. So you can expect to see those late next week, the brochures being mailed out. The statement of interest, just to say, yes, it's off. It's at Massachusetts School Building Authority. We got the official word back that has been received, so we would want you to know that work has been tidied up. Now it really is just a waiting game for us to see what happens, whether we're in fact queued up, invited in, or if we have to do it again next year or again the year after. Not sure what this looks like, so we'll see. For our first run at it, though, I think we did a very nice job of that. So that's all settled. And so that's it for my report tonight.
Any questions? I have one on the school councils. Did you notice differences in each of the councils? Because I know that you and I had a conversation about energizing those councils to be more of a conduit to their individual school communities and kind of consistency across them.
We did have that discussion after the administrators, just so that you know that I did follow that up with an administrative meeting with our principals, so that word did find its way back. I don't know that I noticed a difference as such, to be honest with you. I do think there's a lot of energy in each of our school councils. I would say that there's varying thoughts around different topics, and that comes to the table quite clearly. Certainly the questions I get asked are probing questions. They're good questions, they're not surface questions. Mm-hmm. So I would say that our school councils are heavily involved. I don't know if the principals want to weigh in on that, but that's certainly my take.
Because I think next year we probably need to have them come into a meeting or two here and report out, hear from them as the community members in their own. I mean, I don't want it to be something formal, although I'm sure you guys would be like, what are we going to talk about? But I think there's, and I know this is something that Neil had mentioned last year as we looked through some of the guidelines and the regs, and it's like we really need to have a little stronger connection with those councils, if only to hear from the voice of the community through the school. Because those councils really should be the conduit to the parents in the school and then bubble it up. So I think there's opportunity just to take
it to a next level.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Let's utilize that that avenue. So, but thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
absolutely.
And then we're moving into new business. The assistant superintendent job description is in the packet. So this position was included in the proposed budget that the school committee voted on. That position is part of the budget that will go to our town meetings next month. But I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Clenchey.
Well, I think that, you know, and I actually, I'm going to say a couple of words, and I'm probably going to turn it over to Kathy Codian, who chaired the personnel subcommittee, and make sure that there's nothing that I'm missing here. Again, just a reminder that this wasn't a position that went away, but we redefined it. We redefined what the needs were, and I've said this before to our community at large and to the school committee. When we look at our budget last year, and we did the same thing again this year, we kind of shifted sand on where we felt the needs were within the district. So, for example, you know, we may have felt that we could have made a reduction, for example, at the high school level in one area, but we really needed a position, for example, at Luther Burbank is another example. So we really, when I take a look at what we did, we just really shifted and made sure that our energies for next year and our fiscal, the fiscal component that goes with it, is for the needs that we're experiencing right now. As we look forward to next year, I mean, I think that we've made it very, very clear that we want to focus on digital learning. That has come up time and again. So this position is one of those positions that will help to lead that front. So we see this person working very closely in tandem with whoever it is that will head up the unit that will look after teaching and learning or academics or whatnot. And so there would be a direct tie-in with that work. When you take a look at the scope of the work, and I'll just kind of go through it quickly. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you take a look at the second sentence, for example, the first paragraph, the primary responsibilities include administering and overseeing all aspects of curriculum, instruction, and assessment programs, and working with school administrators, curriculum leadership, and faculty to review, develop, revise, and evaluate programs to promote excellence and student achievement. There are, if you take a look down at the position responsibilities, again, I don't want to belabor that, but just to kind of go through some of them, coordinate the development and implementation of ongoing assessment, revision of curricula. We need to get that curriculum on a regular cycle. We don't feel that it is right now. That's one of the areas that we want to take a look at. The next piece, assure consistency and horizontal and vertical delivery of content programs across the grade levels, the elementary, the middle, and the high school. This is a key one for us, lead the ongoing digital integration efforts across the district. Work with the principals and curriculum coordinators to analyze results of the mandated and district common assessments. So that's MCAS as well. It is maybe Fondas and Pinel and whatever other assessments are being used across the district. Coordinate the MCAS testing dates schedule. Supervise and evaluate teaching and learning unit members and the technology manager. So keep in mind that this position will also oversee that component of our work, the actual digital component, the IT department. Oversee the district-wide staff PD, which makes sense because it all ties back in with the work that we're looking at, particularly with regards to teaching and learning, or instruction and curriculum, if you want to look at it through that lens. And then, of course, the caveat that we always put in, other duties assigned by the superintendent of schools. So in a nutshell, this individual really is going to put a focus on the academic component of the school district, K to 12, basically. So in a nutshell, I think, did I miss anything important?
No, I think that the personnel subcommittee appreciates the work that you did and Anne Marie did to refine this and get it so focused. We recognize that there is a need for focused leadership in this area, and our concern was that it might go off in too many directions, but focusing on actually being a leader of other leaders in the school district, because the principals are responsible for curriculum, instruction, and assessment, any lead teachers that you have, the curriculum folks. So, you know, it's focused, and it fills a need, and
So what was the recommendation of
so the recommendation was to recommend to the school committee that we approve this job description.
Okay, So I'm going to take questions. Steve?
I have two. Number one, I would like to see an org chart of the administration of this district. I've never seen one.
Oh, we have, it's right online, I think that.
It's online? Okay.
Yep.
That's number one. Number two, I think when you look at the job qualifications, it should be a person who has had hands-on experience developing or managing a digital curriculum, not someone who's going to learn on the job.
It's in there.
So your comment is that they have
My comment is in
already...
the job qualification that they already have experience either implementing or managing an existing digital learning program. And make that a key job qualification.
That will definitely limit, I'm just saying, I just want to put
I'm
it out
sure it
there.
will.
That will definitely limit
sure it
the
will.
number of
But if we want
candidates.
to go ahead with digital learning and bringing it into this district, I don't see how someone who's they're learning it as they're doing it is going to be that much of a, well, they could be a very successful individual, but I would rather see somebody who has that
Experience.
tool in their belt.
Yeah. When I think about this position outside of what you see here, I mean, this to me is kind of the guts of the qualifications that you're looking for. But if you stand back from all of this, when you look at leadership, and when I look at the leadership needs of our district, you're looking for somebody who can lead the masses, who can understand, who can envision, who can pull together teams. Those are all every bit as important to me as the other piece, these other pieces. So I hear what you're saying. It does make me nervous to put that specific qualifier in here.
I think that if you're looking for leadership, then we're really trying to focus on developing the digital learning in this district, that you really need somebody who's had experience doing it.
So the leadership component of
Leadership would be there.
It's an assistant superintendent, so the leadership component
Is there.
inherently would be there. 'Cause
Right,
it's
would have to be
It's
there.
the number 2 position in the whole district, so I would expect that would be, like, when you're weeding through, or whoever's weeding through these, if you don't have the experience, you're not in. You don't get to make the second cut. But I wanna hear, so let me step back, excuse me for a minute, and level set. The reason that, so this position, the assistant superintendent of schools, was a position in the district, and a couple of years ago, it went dormant because it was a combined position, and we pulled the positions apart to ensure that the principalship in the Hale Middle School had a full dedicated principal. Okay, so that's why, and the individual wanted that position, took that position, so this went dormant. We didn't get rid of it at the time because I think Dr. Bates was here, and he said, you know what? You don't know what the new superintendent's going to need. You don't know how you're going to end up restructuring and reshuffling things. So that's why it's here. In order for us to get to this point, the understanding was that this position needed to be focused on curriculum and digital learning and the delivery mechanism and the enhancement of the digital to the learning experience, right? I think, and before I finish with that, I think at this point, I think it's only fair to the committee and the administration to take a step back and say, aha, take a breath, that we are now at a point where we can stop worrying about the constant fix and the turnaround and really look at what we are here for, which is to drive the district forward. So I see this position as the catalyst to finally moving things forward in the same direction. I mean, there has been, with all due respect, there's been some work, but it's been at the same time. So now this is the focus. And so I understand what you're saying because of the importance of this. I'd like to see someone who has had some digital experience. I don't necessarily, I think digital in education, with all due respect to the education gods, is not as far along as it is in I don't know that you would find someone with 10 years of digital experience, but I do respect, and I happen to agree with you that the digital component needs to have been something that that has been illustrated. So that's enough. But how do the rest of you feel, Miss Elise?
Thank you. No, I mean, I hear what Steve is saying, and I think whether it filters into this job description or is just something that we keep in mind as we think about candidates. I don't know if everybody's familiar with like the National Education Technology Plan. They have a whole section on leadership and what makes a good technology leader in a district and what some of those qualities are. And you know, it's a lot of things that are in here already about having a shared vision and being collaborative and those kinds of things. But the piece that's maybe missing in here that maybe, you know, could be, or is it still feels like technology seems like an add-on. And maybe it's just the way some of these things are worded, but it's sort of like curriculum and also digital supports, or, you know, and also implementing technology instead of really having this mentality that technology is there to enable us to have more transformative teaching and learning, and it's not, you know, sometimes we pull out a computer, it's changing the whole way we think about the way that we educate students. And whether that goes into this description or it's just something that we're keeping in mind, to me, the physical experience of I know how to run a technology department is less important than the ability to see that this is a way that we can transform the way that we teach students and ensure that we're reaching all students with all kinds of needs. And that, to me, is still feels like it's a little bit this and then also digital, as though it's a separate thing instead of a tool that helps us get where we want to get to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I think you've articulated it very, very well, actually, and that's exactly how I see it. Not the digital add-on, though. I want to put that, because actually, I would say just the opposite. I felt that when we were writing this, it was the focus. So I'm surprised to hear that you read it as an add-on, because that was definitely not the focus of the group at all. But everything that you're saying, I absolutely agree with.
Lynn?
The Educational Technology Plan, did they have training?
Wait a second, we've got to, yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering, because this is they're actually talking about now there's going to be a standard, somebody's setting up a standard. So, in doing that, there's
the Office of Education Technology does it it used to be every 5 years, but now because technology changes, and it's not a standard necessarily, it just kind of sets a national vision to say this is where we think we should go as a country. And nobody has to do it,
right.
But it's...
Well, standard's not law, standard's just...
Right, but I mean, nobody has to meet any specific standard, it's just a document that sort of, they interview people all over the country and pull it together and say this is where we think
we need to focus on this job description, right? So that's what the agenda item is, and go ahead.
That was one of, because we had this discussion. And that was actually one of the topics that we talked about, and the fear that you had that, you know, it would just lessen the pool. And I think what Steve is talking about more is enriching the pool for what you really want.
Right.
And it makes me feel better that there's actually a group out there that's actually started a vision and started technology and digital planning, because we've been kind of fumbling with it a little bit. So, I mean, I like the idea, and I'm just wondering if maybe we should just revisit this one more time.
What would, and I want to hear from everybody else as well, or we need to hear from everyone else, what would we be revisiting for in order to?
Just to research this and maybe take some of the language out of it and know, you know, because they must have a mailing list or something to know that it's growing and that there are people out there that are qualified. Mm-hmm. So it actually gives you a place to start, instead of just saying, I think I want this. You know, because this is our vision, you can say, look, I know that there's a national vision out there, and if you can speak to it, and you have a little bit of experience, or if you can do parts of it, come on in.
Susan, what do you think?
Well, I have a question for Lynn first, and then there was something that initially I thought was missing from here, but then when I reread it, I kind of found the piece that I was looking for. Are you saying that to educate the search committee on what those standards are, so that when applicants come, you know whether or not they meet those expectations, or?
Well, actually, and when you put up the
The posting?
the posting.
Yeah.
I mean, you really should be letting people know what you're looking for. But if you post it out there and you list some of the verbiage they have, if they're familiar with it, they'll know exactly what this job is.
So initially, when I read the job qualifications, I was thinking that just the ability to efficiently and effectively use it and the willingness to share what they know, it wouldn't be enough. But then the statement after that says the ability to provide the supervision and the vision. So that one word vision, they have to kind of have that knowledge and be able to implement it. It's not just this is what I know and I'm totally willing to share it with others. It's that I have that comprehensive vision.
I think that's why
Does
it
that
felt
make
like an
sense?
add-on to me, though, because it says to the technology department and to technology staff. So it's
Oh, so change it to the district.
right. So instead of just vision to technology staff, really it should be this becomes a shared vision that we all are engaged in.
Yeah.
You know, not just the technology department. And I think, thank you. I was like, I got this feeling from it, but I couldn't think of why it was coming out that way to me.
So are you looking at like the position responsibilties themselves? Is that
No,
where
the-
you're at, or are you at
The
the top?
qualifications at the bottom. I think it's like the fifth line down.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fifth line down. Ability to provide supervision and vision, and then just maybe that ending. of the
And how would you suggest as a change?
I think it's just because it
to-
says to the technology department.
Yeah.
And
maybe just two
technology staff members.
to
When really,
faculty throughout the district.
Yeah.
Or to, I don't know.
it can't just
wouldn't
be the technology
faculty.
department.
It's more than just.
It's a vision for the department as well as for the entire curriculum in relation to technology for the district as a whole.
Right.
And I don't think you need supervision in that line because you have it in number 6 above.
Yeah.
But to extend the vision to beyond the technology department.
Yeah, I think it's that shared vision piece. It's that this is all of us.
So maybe that's a good word to add right in there.
Shared. Yeah. Because Lynn is right. People that do this stuff will hear those words and know.
And they'll be prepared to
Right, to
communicate.
that.
Well, they have a nice thing here. It says, design for districts that have.
We're
decided
not gonna
to-
redo this here, though.
No, that's fine. It's, implement a
Lynn,
systematic
I don't
approach.
wanna go down somebody's
I know.
website.
I
We
know.
don't have to what, do you have something to say?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have general comments. I imagine that the personnel committee actually discussed this
Ad
fairly
nauseam.
vigorously. So I suspect that you guys have worked out a fair bit of getting the technology stuff more prominent in this description.
Oh.
And I admit to having some concern that in all of the thousands of districts in this nation, there are not so many individuals who have a lot of successful experience integrating this, and that's everybody, all districts are learning how to do this well. And so I have some concern about narrowing the field to a bunch of people who actually are a little bit unicorn-like, rather than knowing that we will be having to grow and learn as a district as well as our administrators. So I agree that's important, and I'm not quite ready to say we want to qualify that individual too narrowly.
When I came back from Mass, I brought a booklet, the Massachusetts K-12 Digital Learning book, which I gave to Neil. Where is Neil when we really need him? No, I'm just saying that this is one of his, I know this is one of his particular
Well, I think it's, and it's
points.
shared. But I guess we need to get to a point of what are we gonna do with this? Is the thought that we need to refine this a little bit more? I guess my question is, if we do, is the thought that we need it to be more of an integral component of the digital piece is more integral rather than looking like silos? I'm wondering, I know that we've been working on this for a long time and that you folks have been working on this for a long time. Is there an opportunity to look at some high-performing districts that have this role in place and see what those job descriptions are and maybe leverage some of that so that we don't? Because I agree with Mark that, I agree with Steve and I agree with Mark and I agree with you and you, but we don't want to, put so much focus on siloing skill sets that we don't get what you need. So does that sound
And/or are there just a few changes? Like, that's almost what I guess that's my question. Would a few changes do what you feel needs to happen?
It depends
with
on
this?
what they are.
Right, no, I
Right.
totally understand that. I'm not asking a whole revisit at all. And if it's not, if it is a whole revisit, then that's what it is.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm thinking about is we don't know what we don't know. I had an opportunity yesterday to go to the Medfield Public Schools Digital Learning Day. A colleague is an administrator in the district and has been asking me to go for years. I finally went this year and was blown away. And the whole day was teachers from Medfield, but from Holliston and from surrounding communities, showcasing the work that they do with the integration of technology. And it was absolutely incredible. And I have to add that Mary Murata, the computer technology person at the high school, did an incredible presentation with a teacher from Bedford, New Hampshire, that she and they worked together. But the whole day was just inspiring and invigorating. So I think that when you look beyond Neshoba, you're going to see people that have this skill set. And as people move into these positions of administration, of leadership, superintendent, assistant superintendent, principal, directorships, you're going to see people who have the capacity. It's not an either or, it's a blended capacity. And you don't need to know everything about every piece of technology that every teacher uses in his or her classroom to lead technology. And when I look at this, I think it's, people are gonna, like, and I made the comment, I would love this job. And because I understand the nuances of it, but I think that we put it out there, see what we get. I think it's an attractive job. This is an attractive district. And again, if it doesn't attract the people that we want, then you go back to the drawing board. But as is, I think that it's going to be a very attractive position, and we may be surprised at the people that come forward to do it. Then it's up to the committee to make sure that the person that we hire has that balance, has that knowledge and understanding.
Well, our role is consent, so I'm glad you introduced that, because the superintendent and her team are going to go through and they're going to call out whomever, and whoever your pick is, Superintendent Clenchey's going to bring it before the school committee, and this is one of those positions that we have to provide consent to. So how do you do that? So we're going to have the job description in this hand, and we're going to have the resume of the individual in this hand, and we're going to do this. And if it works, then we're going to provide consent. But I want you to understand that we don't pick the individual. This is a consent role. Susan.
I have a really quick question. It's going to sound silly, but what is the difference between a job description and a job posting? So this job description, the concern I would have with this staying, like without sort of clarifying that vision piece, is that this I thought was the job description, not the posting itself. Or I know they're close. So this sticks linked with the position, not with the individual candidate. So if this is what we want for the position, that's great. But if and so when you am I making sense? So like you're going to hire somebody that you see fits this position. Maybe they go away. This is still the position.
Right.
We want to make sure that whoever is here.
The person that is brought forward
Yeah.
to fill this position needs to largely fill the position. Like, let's all be honest here. How many people have applied for jobs where I'm like, I'm 90% of that person, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so that's what it's going to be.
But this would be our ideal candidate, is what
Right.
we're looking for.
Those are the
So then-
characteristics. So if the characteristics don't, if there's something missing and you're not comfortable, because she's bringing this forward to ask for a vote to pass this in order to post it and get it moving. If you're not comfortable with this job description and you would like tweaks to be made, we need to be really specific about what doesn't feel right, kick it back to the personnel subcommittee. We'll ask you to go out and grab some similar job descriptions in other districts So you can see that maybe that vision piece with, how do they speak to it, and does it satisfy the needs that you have for this role? Right? Does that make sense? I don't think this is a rewrite. I think there's some just tying it a little more closely together. So, and maybe that's, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, and I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, and I don't sense that. I'm very, like, again, let's keep in mind that we started talking about this role over a year ago, like when we first started it. So we've done a lot of thinking. I mean, I'm very pleased with where we've landed. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're saying, but I think it kind of is. I mean, for 95% of it, I don't know that I would change really much of anything. That's why I was asking if there's a few tweaks that we can make. I'm very comfortable to make those tweaks. If you feel there needs to be a full rewrite, then you do need to go get back to
I don't think
personnel.
anyone's suggesting that.
Could I suggest a couple words and see if people agree that somewhere in the qualifications, something about district-wide and integrated
Okay,
curriculum.
so, you know what, that's great. I don't want to get into, and I respectfully say this, I
So
don't.
so I'd
I
delegate
just don't,
someone to
wait a
that.
second, I don't want us to get into wordsmithing this, because that's the work of the subcommittee, and I don't think it's appropriate to do it here, but I respect what you just
Right.
said, so.
So I'm offering
you
that as a
guys-
suggestion to give it back to the
Thank you very
committee.
much. I need to know what you want to do with this job description. Do you want to vote on it? Do you want to, someone make a motion?
I move to table,
A second.
and there's no discussion.
So then we're going to ask but we've got to provide direction to superintendent, because we're going to ask the superintendent to try to find, and you know what, you and I can talk about it. I can give you I think I've got where they're at. I think you do too.
I think I do too. Yeah, that's why I
Alright.
was wondering if we could do it on the floor and just, but I wasn't looking.
I
at
don't
huge-
think we're
yeah,
going to be
for
able
huge
to
words.
get there. I think that, and I don't think it's an appropriate time to spend a half an hour wordsmithing. And if it makes sense to kick it back to personnel and pass it through the personnel subcommittee, and we'll get it on the agenda for the next school committee. How does that sound?
Yeah, and that's fine. I do worry about time. Like, I do worry about, like, then we'll have to, I apologize, but we'll have to bring the personnel subcommittee
We
back
do,
in
our
right
next
away.
scheduled meeting is May 14th, so we would have to schedule
So
another meeting.
I want you to think, just in terms of logistics, and I'm fine with all this, May 14th. So if we schedule another meeting before our next meeting, we really would need to do that, because we're going to have to go out to have applicants, and I'm worried about our time frame.
That's right.
So I'm fine. I just want that out there.
All right.
We still have to vote on whether we want to table it. So.
I don't know that we do have to
Yeah,
vote.
it has
If we're
to be a
not going
vote.
to do
Oh, no.
anything, we don't
Oh,
have to do
okay.
anything.
He's just
Right.
moving to table.
Well,
There is a
the
motion on
personnel
the floor and
subcommittee,
a second.
I don't think we need this, but
Okay,
all
no,
those in
I'm sorry.
favor of tabling a vote on the assistant superintendent job description? 2, 3. All those, who's the fourth?
Elise, I think.
Kind of, yeah.
4? And all those opposed? 2, and I'm abstaining because I don't even know what the heck just went on here for the last 20 minutes. All right, so we're going to table the discussion. You're going to bring back another
Iteration.
with a couple of tweaks, and we're going to move this on to the next school committee meeting agenda. Thank you. Okay. Plan design changes for employee health insurance. Pat Maroney, our business manager, is going to share some information.
So let me just give you a little bit of background on this. We decided early on, there was some discussion, I believe, at a committee meeting, that we were going to look at the insurance rates and see if we can come up with some changes that might be affordable to both the people insured and to the cost to the district. So back at the end of 2017, Anne Marie Stoiker and I got together and we came up with some members that from the non-collective bargaining units to be members of this committee, and those members are
going to be listed as we vote this committee. And basically, what we did with this committee is we looked at the rates and we looked at some different ways of changing the costs, like changing deductibles, possibly changing co-pays, and came up with something that we as a group could all agree on. Now again, back to the group, it's like I said, it was made up of 4 members from the non-collective bargaining unit, and then we had 4 from the collective bargaining units. And those 8 people came up with a consensus on what we are bringing forward here today. We tried to save a little bit of money by changing some co-pays, and I think that Lorraine is going to tell you exactly who the members are of the committee, and we're going to vote exactly how they stand.
So in order for us to take the recommendation that you see in the packet on the changes to the insurances, we need to legitimize the Insurance Advisory Committee. So I'm gonna read this, and then I just need someone to move it for me. The school committee hereby reaffirms the establishment and appointment of members of the Insurance Advisory Committee in accordance with Article 10.2 of the Collective Bargaining Agreement. This is part of our collective bargaining agreement between the Neshoba Regional School District Committee and the Neshoba Regional Education Association, Unit A, effective July 1, 2017 through June 30, 2019. 4 members of the Insurance Advisory Committee appointed to the school committee shall be Pat Maroney, Anne Marie Stoika, Victoria Chartier, Michelle Cody, Kevin Keaveney, Steve Gilmore, Thea Tully, and Jason Joyce. I need somebody to move that for me. So Kathy, thank you, in a second.
Second.
Elise, thank you. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Well, I do have a question. What about the C bargaining group?
Says Unit A. Well, we haven't finished the Unit C contract yet, so this is for Unit A.
So they could actually have different insurances?
I don't think so. I think Unit C is under the previous
You have
contract.
a Unit C member on there, Kevin, am I correct on that? So you actually have a Unit C member there, and Steve Gilmore.
Steve Gilmore.
So he would represent Unit C on there.
I think the question is, we meant that what the attorney gave us as Unit A.
Yeah.
I'm going to amend it to Unit C as well.
I think that would be fine.
Okay, so.
So they currently have the same insurance also?
Yep.
Yes, everything is the same.
All right, so are we done?
So
Do we need to vote the amended? All right, so
So
wait a minute, because I really don't want to lose this, because this is really important.
No, I just don't
do it
make
the
sure
right way.
we're just doing people right now, right? We're not doing.
No, we're doing what the whole thing that I just read, and I just made an amendment to it, so I need somebody to.
Are we approving this whole?
No, this is just legitimizing the
Just the
group.
committee.
Just the committee, that's all this is.
The Health Insurance Advisory Committee. So, what I need somebody to do,
So for the sake of process, I move that we amend the proposed motion so that we include the Unit C bargaining group as the
Thank you.
member or participant in that committee.
Okay, and I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All right. We ready to vote?
So I move the amendment.
She got a second. All those in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous. Okay, so we've legitimized the committee.
Well,
Now-
actually, we
No,
did the
just the
amendment. Now
amendment.
let's do the main motion.
Oh my God.
That was just the amendment.
Great, well,
So I move the main question now, if we have no further discussion.
thank
Now we
you.
legitimize the committee.
I thought Kathy and Elise already
They did.
first and seconded the
The
motion.
original.
The original.
They
The
did.
original.
Recall the main motion.
They did. I'm needing direction from you.
So, to be honest with you, you're right. You can just call it right now because the first motion was already made. All you did was just change the amendment, so you can go back to call the
So
first
call
one
the
now.
main motion.
So call the main motion, and I'm fine with that.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Are we just voting now?
Yeah, now you should just vote.
Good Lord, all those in favor.
Thank you.
Another.
We've now legitimized the committee.
You've been legitimized, Mr. Keaveney. Thank goodness. Thank you for your patience, thank you for your help. Okay, now we need to vote on what is in your packet on the recommendations of the Insurance Advisory Committee. And there is specific language, and it's long, because we have to read all of it. So, what's that, Lynn?
You're going to read it right now, right?
Yeah, I'm going to read it now. This has to be done, by the way, by April 15th, according to contract. So that's why we're rushing to get this in. Okay, the school committee hereby accepts the recommendation of the Insurance Advisory Committee to adopt MIIA Health Benefits Trusts renewal proposed for September 1st, 2018 through August 31st, 2019. The new rates as of September 1, 2018 will be as follows. Blue Care Elect Preferred change emergency room visits to $200, an individual is $1,093.21. Family is $2,867.77. For the Blue Choice New England option, change from local to New England and emergency room to $200 NE, right? Right. Individual is $1,041.84. The family is $2,732.91. And the HMO Blue New England option, change local to New England and emergency room visits to $200. An individual is $842.17. And the family premium is $2,227.32. Okay.
So we can talk.
So, well, I need a motion, then a second, then we'll talk.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
I would like
Okay.
to offer an amendment.
Okay, before you offer an amendment, what is it?
I
I'm
would
gonna
like to
go off
offer an
my last
amendment
one.
that for the next year, that the Health Advisory Committee, whoever they may be, review other non-Blue Cross, Blue Shield options and report back to here with a comparative chart.
All right, so that's not an amendment, that's a part of the discussion. So let's, I'm good with it, but let's get a motion and a second, and then we'll open up the discussion.
I made the motion, Mark second.
Mark
Not the
seconded.
motion.
Yeah.
So it's not an amendment, but this is discussion time.
I
So
understand.
Steve's comment is,
My comment is that they were asked this year to review other, as I recall, the discussion we had here a few months ago, and none of it was followed through on, and that this time that we require that they follow through on bringing us a selection of various proposers or various providers for medical insurance, particularly in view of the Cadillac tax that will go on in 2 years. And who will pay that?
okay.
I'm not sure where to start, because I want to be really clear that we did a lot of work on this all year
Motion
long.
on the table.
Well, wait a minute, it's time, it's discussion.
Okay.
Leave it alone.
Discussion on
So, you know, and I think what's missing here is the understanding of how connected this is with your contract. So
The
it's,
contract says, does the contract specify we must provide Blue Cross Blue Shield?
no, but I
Fine.
think I want to be clear on the role that the school committee plays with that piece. And I think that you've had discussion with the lawyers as well, so I think you've got as good an understanding as I do of how this needs to work. So it's a little bit more complicated than just going out and doing this. So I don't know how detailed you
So,
want to
We
spend
can
time
go.
with that.
Is it fair
We-
to say that this committee is the authority and we can ask of it, but it's really the committee's, through the contract, it's their delegation to come back with a result?
Well, it is, but I will tell you, because this came up kind of fast, and, you know, my concern was legitimizing the committee before we would vote on anything. And we do have a tool in the toolkit, but I'm not sure it's appropriate to go into this until we, you know, finalize the vote, but I think maybe we should. I will say personally that I am with you, but this committee is appointed by the school committee, which is kind of cart before the horse this year because we weren't aware. So now the committee is legitimized, and this is the work that they did, and this is what they brought forward to us. We can't direct this committee, and I don't know that we necessarily should, but we can have input into the makeup of the committee on the administrative side, but certainly not on the, nor would we want to, because that's not appropriate. So I'm going to suggest that at this 11th hour, with 4 days left to not violate a contract that we have worked so hard on, that we would accept it this year, and then I have something more I can share with you. Lynn?
I just have a question on what you said, because you said it was the school committee, it's up to them to appoint and legitimize this committee, this insurance committee. So doesn't that also mean that we give them a charge?
No, you don't give them a charge. No, it's a negotiation between the two parties.
Okay.
But I do have some, I just don't, I mean, I've got more I can share with you. I think it will help, but I want to get through this vote. I think what's on the floor is we have new rates and we have a revision. Do you want to accept that or not? If you don't accept it, then we're going to go back to where we were before. There is a little bit of savings, Pat, in these rates that you've already hardwired into the proposed budget. So that would change the budget as well. I'm not advocating, I'm advocating for 11th hour. I don't want to violate our unit A, C, whatever contracts, and I think that the fact that this came to us so late is something that we've got to deal with.
Right. But I just, so we don't have to deal with the Cadillac tax, because if I recall what the discussion before, it was $1,700 per person?
That's 2022 and between,
okay.
Now I'm going to answer it, but between 2018 and 2022, we don't know if they're going to reduce the thresholds. We don't know if they're going to get rid of it altogether. I'm sure American corporations are flipping out right now knowing that there's a Cadillac tax coming, but we can't make those decisions. What we can do is work more closely with these groups in order to understand the implications of it, but we can't solve for that right now.
But is it something that we can schedule for next year so we're not hitting it so late?
Oh, we are. And Pat, if you want to share where you're at right now for next year.
I'm reaching out to various health insurance providers to see if I can get them to come, and we're going to put out an RFP on it.
So what's the opportune time to actually start talking about that here and break presentations? I mean, because I'm not I know this is
okay.
the hour.
Let's finish this, and then I'm going to share something. Okay. So I'm going to ask for the vote. All those in favor? All right. And all those opposed? Steve? So the motion passes 6-1. Okay. So this might touch on it. So one of the things that our attorney not only told me about, but encouraged us to do is, and I'm going to read some of this because I don't want to get it wrong. In 2014, the legislature passed the 2014 Healthcare Reform Act. I'm going to read you what he said because, again, I don't want to get it wrong. Pardon?
Yeah, it's right there.
Well, no, I have my notes. Because it recognized the rising costs of health care. He said that it's a tool that allows municipalities and school districts, regional school districts, to look at adopting something that would allow us to become a little bit more active, not control it, don't get that in your heads, but a little bit more active in the cost of health care. It is a very long process. It is a joint process. It is a collaboration. I'm talking about it's a joint collaborative process with our union representatives. And it is not something that we have to enact. but it is something that we should adopt. And a lot of districts and many, many municipalities, in fact, have already adopted it. And one of the first things he said to me was, well, you guys have the 2014 Healthcare Reform Act. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I called Pat. Nope, we didn't. The district never enacted it in 2014. But by having it on the books, it gives us the opportunity to look at maybe if we needed to start to look at opportunities for more affordable health care. But I want to make it really clear, this is not a driving thing. It is not. This is people's health care. This is people's insurance. At the same time, we all recognize the incredible burden of what we're doing right now. So for right now, all I think we really need to do is look more closely into the 2014 Healthcare Reform Act and adopt it on the advice of council. It was their advice that we do it. And I will get more information and I'll come back to you with it.
So by adopting this, we have more options.
By adopting that, it allows, well, let me get more information and come back, because I don't want to speak outside of.
This is new, okay.
Well, unfortunately, it's new to us 4 years later.
Yeah. Okay.
But at least, I appreciate the fact that he suggested it and someone, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Does that help at all?
I move that we enact adoption of the 2014 law.
We can't because it's a stepped through, very specific, many step process. And I don't want to, well, we can't do that. And I don't want to do that because I don't want to send the wrong message. I really don't want to send the wrong message to you folks.
Yeah. When does that start?
What?
When will we start doing that? Is that the September thing?
No.
This piece here, adopting this piece, no, I think that we should be able to do it in the next meeting or two. Isn't that what you're thinking? Yeah.
But we have steps to do that before.
Okay.
And getting back to this other piece, it's definitely much more complex than anyone probably around this table would have ever thought.
Probably.
What we know now.
It's like the foundation.
All right, so Pat, you have the two things you need. I've got a follow-up for the next agenda on the 2014 Healthcare Reform Act to provide more information. Ma'am. Oh, she gave me the thumbs up. I thought she said get out of here. Oh, please.
So you put that in the calendar?
All right, I'll need to put it on my calendar. Recess time, moving on. Thank you. We're moving on.
Okay, I'm going to call Principal Bates and Principal Mulcairn to the table to help do some discussion here.
Believe it or not, we are actually on time. So, before you start, what we're looking for on this item is to understand how recess works. We really want to hear from you. What's your philosophy on it? And I think some of the comments that we had earlier tonight are kind of interesting. So
yeah. So I want to go down a couple of different roads. I think first of all, we took this topic very seriously. We sat down. We had a lot of discussion. We created charts. We pulled everything together because, as I had said in one of my emails back to Carolyn, if I can call her Carolyn, the bottom line is we always look for consistency across the district. I mean, that has been a goal of this administration, whether it's evaluations, whether it's curriculum, assessment, what recess is one of those things. So one of the first things that we did was we created a Google Doc and we started to fill it all in to take a look and see what everybody was doing across the district in terms of whatever that recess time would look like. And so we created a large spreadsheet, and from there, then we started to have discussions around the table. We had several discussions with just the principals group. We didn't involve our large admin, just our principals group. And in that, we included the middle school principals as well as the elementary school principals. So I want you to know that that happened as well. So it wasn't something that we just focused on at the elementary level. It was interesting when we started looking historically at the district, because we've got some administrators, of course, who were here, who've been here for several years, and to see what was and then how it evolved to what is. A couple of things that also arose out of it that I didn't realize. I mean, certainly it gave me the opportunity to ask some probing questions, but I didn't realize the amount of level of flexibility that's at play as well in our schools. And I'll have the principals speak to that as well. But it tied in with me when I sit in my office and my window's open and I can hear children laughing at like 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I know that that's not a scheduled recess time. And so that needs to send a message, right? So I'm going to ask the principals just speak briefly about what's happening. I would also know and point out the bill that's I believe in the House right now, and I believe there was some action taken today on it. I don't know at the end of the day what that action looked like. Somebody might be much more current than I am on what ultimately happened with it, but I do know that it was going before them today for discussion purposes. The other thing that I would want to stress at this point in time too is the fact that we do a lot, particularly this year, we have done a lot of work with social emotional learning and tying all of that kind of thing back into this. So for example, at our PD sessions, our teachers do all kinds of different activities around mindfulness or classroom activity, de-stressing, and not for them, but for the children, de-stressing activities and all that kind of thing. So I think although recess is the topic, I think from our lens, and I'll let the principals speak if I'm out of turn, I think we see this from a larger lens. It's not just about a recess activity that happens between 11:45 and 12:15. So I'll start with Principal Mulcairn first, then Principal Bates, and then we'll kind of go back and wrap around and take questions. So Principal Mulcairn, why don't we start with you?
Sure, so I'll start off and just sort of state that Sean O'Shea from MRE is not here. Obviously, they have an event at school.
He's lip syncing, and I've seen the video. Yes.
So yeah, there's dancing involved too.
Dancing as well, yes.
So we're all very sort of similar in what happens in our buildings. But so I'll start off with center. So grades 1 through 5 have a scheduled 20-minute recess per day. They're encouraged to take extra time as they see fit within their schedule, within reason, and typically in April, we'll start to see more of that. Not so much this year, maybe because it's a little bit colder out, but and certainly beginning of the school year, I see them utilize that a lot as students are coming off of summer vacation, settling the school routines. But they're more than given the green light to take an additional recess during the school day. It is not structured. It's not something that's necessarily kept track of. But typically, it's about that 10 to 15 extra minutes to get outside when they do take it. The only thing that they're mandatory to do is to let the main office know that they've gone outside in case we're looking for someone for dismissal or obviously during an emergency. So the exception to that is kindergarten takes 2 15-minute recesses for the full day program, and the half day currently takes a 1 20-minute recess break.
Yeah, so I would say that that's consistent pretty much across the district, that Florence Sawyer School has in the kindergarten program. Multiple recesses through the day. There's a morning recess, there's an end of the day recess for the full day program, because that time after lunch is sort of that rest time and sort of that recalibrating. The time and I'll speak for Mr. O'Shea, Principal O'Shea as well, we're all between 20 and 25 minutes, but there's flexible time built into that. So, we have conversations with our students about the purpose of lunch and making sure that you're eating your lunch, and that if you have finished your lunch, then there's some flexibility where you can go out early. So it could be up to 25, even 30 minutes in that time as far as the scheduled time goes. And I think looking at the afternoon, as Principal Mulcairn said, that there are some scheduling issues because you have kids in different specials at different times, and so to say across the board everyone would be able to go out in an afternoon recess that we would schedule, it's not logistically possible because different classes are in different places that are not necessarily in their classrooms. But like Principal Mulcairn said, all of our teachers have the flexibility to go out and periodically take the recesses that they feel the kids need, or and to take advantage of the nice weather if it ever comes back. One of the things that we've done in different aspects in the 3 elementary schools is look at that sort of mind-body connection and understanding the importance of movement and building in these brain breaks, and so they look different across the district, but that conscious effort in learning for our teachers to incorporate movement, and in Florence Sawyer's case, for example, we studied the kinesthetic classroom, which is just looking at different movement breaks in the day. So those happen with some of the technology devices. I did the Moose Cha-Cha in kindergarten a week ago with a class where I just happened to be walking in, on my rounds, so to speak, and they had their movement break built in. They had been working for 30 minutes or so, and okay, everyone stop and just get up and move. And there's some videos, and there are fun dance breaks, those kinds of things. So we're conscious of that in all of the elementary schools, and I think in addition to that, looking at it, I'll put my middle school principal hat on as well. That's consistent across the district as well in terms of the time available. And there is only so much time available in a middle school schedule that is blocked in. But all of our students have recess after lunch for small windows, but also have a lot of built-in movement because you're in a class for a certain amount of time and you're getting up and you're moving to the next class, and having that passing time built in so that you're not sitting in intense concentration for extended periods of time other than during this MCAS window. But we are conscious of it, and I think have continued to evolve as we continue to build our understanding of that mind-body connection.
And I think where there's consistency with the amount of time, I think that's where you'll find some variability, even within a building or within a grade level, for what those breaks during the school day look like based on what experience the teachers had before, maybe what summer workshops they've gone to, what they may have looked up online on their own. So I think that's where there's some variability. The question about weather came up. I won't speak for the other 2 buildings, but I know we use a chart. It's called the Child Care Weather Watch chart, and there's green zones, yellow zones, and red zones based on temperature and wind chill, or temperature and humidity for the warmer months. And I think, at least in Stowe, I'll speak for Center School, we tend to err on the side of going outside. The majority of our students come prepared for winter weather. They have jackets, they have gloves, hats, that kind of thing. So we tend to err on the side of going outside. It's not a perfect science. This is New England, so the weather changes. But we do look ahead to see what the forecast is for that 11 to 12 window when kids are going to be going outside, and try to make our best reasonable decision based on that information.
You can actually speak for all of us. That's
I think the other thing that I would mention too is the question of policy came up, and the district does not have policy in this area. The only thing that comes close is our wellness policy, and that just even basically just alludes to recess. But I'd also point out that the Mass School Committee Association does not have a policy template on this, so it wouldn't be a norm, is what I'm saying, because that's who we normally get our templates from. And so the fact that they don't have one makes total sense as to why we wouldn't have one.
Kathy? I'm not familiar with the House bill regarding recess. Could you share that, please?
Sure. I don't know if we can share it electronically, can we?
Oh, no, I mean, I don't know what it is. Can you just read it?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. I'm sorry. No, it's not long. It's actually not long at all, so I can read it all. Section IG of Chapter 69 of the General Laws is hereby amended by inserting at the end thereof the following subsection: that all children in grades kindergarten through 5 attending public schools shall receive 100 minutes of supervised, safe, and unstructured free play recess each week, so that there are at least 20 consecutive minutes of free play recess per day, which is what you've heard. As used herein, the term free play means an unstructured environment, which you also heard. but which is supervised by appropriate school personnel or staff, which I can assure you happens. Regulations promulgated by the department may not exclude recess from structured learning time requirements for elementary school children and may not increase the total number of hours required in the school year to meet the provisions of this subsection. So basically, I think what the key for me would be in here, the note that they're looking to receive 100 minutes of supervised, safe, and unstructured free play recess.
What do they normally get, like 20 minutes a day?
It's at least 20. It's minimum.
It's more than
in
that.
many cases, many days, we're exceeding what the bill proposes.
And it's typically a concentrated right around lunchtime?
Before or after, depending on the school.
Is it, and maybe I missed it, and I apologize if I did. So if the younger kids, do they have more frequent breaks than the older kids?
Are you talking about movement breaks within the classroom, or?
No, I'm
actual
talking about
recess?
unstructured, just let me like get
Yes.
out there and get crazy,
Yes.
because
Right, so kindergarten does within our schedule, and I typically see first and second grade taking advantage of that, our willingness to say, go for the extra recess if you need it.
I think that's awesome, because I can't imagine being 7 years old or 6 years old. I was good in school though. Kathy?
Time on learning, what do we use when we figure time on learning at the elementary? Is it 20 minutes? It doesn't count towards, recess doesn't count toward time on learning. Is that figured in our equation for that?
We always have to reflect on our time on learning because that's compliance oriented. So yes, that would have to be in there.
Well, no, I'm asking the question. There's usually a worksheet that the state gives you to fill out for time on learning.
Right, and actually that's basically what this last sentence in here is saying, is to make sure, what it's saying is, and maybe this is where you were going, like don't increase recess and then increase your school day. Like that's what it's really saying.
So we would be compliant with
right.
that.
That's exactly right.
Elise?
I just wanted to get to one of the other points that was brought up earlier, and because this is also something I've heard from parents, I haven't personally experienced it, but the question of recess being taken away as a punishment, particularly for like not completing homework or something. Is there a policy? Is that kind of ad hoc that teachers make that decision?
So no, I don't believe that.
There's no policy on that.
No, I mean policy was probably the wrong word. But
like protocol maybe, or
protocol, within the
school.
actual schools that the principals have made, or is it kind of the teachers make that decision about whether to keep a child in for recess? And is there guidance for teachers on making that decision?
Yeah. So I think where I would say that we don't want to see recess used as sort of a group punishment where everyone needs to quiet down in the cafeteria or no one's going outside. That kind of thing doesn't happen. But I think there are always instances where, particularly, and again, I put on my middle school hat, where a child's starting to feel some stress about getting some work done, or hasn't gotten to where they need to be in terms of either support or that kind of thing, and so they may end up staying in with a teacher. I think that in cases where, especially in the case of an active child, we're going to look at building in other movement breaks, because you can take advantage of that time because you have all of the teachers available to work with the child at that time that you don't necessarily have. But in terms of sort of a random punishment, certainly not as a group or anything like that.
Because I've heard from parents of like third graders and second graders that my child didn't do their homework, which is a whole other thing for a third grader, and they were kept in it from recess as a result. And that is concerning to me as a parent, but it's also concerning to me as a school committee member, because that, first of all, should a 7 or 8 year old be punished for not doing a math worksheet by not being able to get outside?
Maybe that kid is the one that needs to
and then maybe the kid really needs to go outside and run around, and therefore will be able to better focus. And so that was really where my question was going. Is there a protocol or guidance on that, and is that something that's, granted, I heard this last year and the year before, maybe it's no longer happening, but that was sort of where I think
staff are sensitive to that issue, obviously. I think for the most part at center, if there's a recess question for a consequence, it's either only from administration or administration is involved in it. And I think we do have sort of students that we consider that we would not want to do that for, right? Or even students that it may not be for energy, but it may be for social reasons. And I have an example of if a student's new to the school and they're having trouble settling in, the behavior may not be what we're looking for, but we don't want to take away the opportunity to build social relationships or potentially sort of isolate that student, right? Or we don't want to do it in that situation either. So I do think for the majority of the time that administration's involved in the decision-making process, or we follow up conversation to talk about it to make sure that the consequence fits whatever the situation may be. And something like homework is not necessarily, right, the two aren't necessarily correlated. So, and I think also in situations like that, we always want parents to reach out to teachers, and if they feel like it's not resolved, then they can reach out to an administrator to talk about it.
I think we have a little bit of a catch-22 here because when I was involved with the SEL a couple years ago, the one thing that stuck out of my mind was because it sounds like the purpose of the recess is to get the kids working together and doing their own thing. But what stuck out was it takes 20 minutes for kids when you throw them together to figure out who the leader is, who the idea person is, who the pacifier is, who the followers are. And if one other kid joins the group, they readjust. And it takes them 20 minutes to do that. And so when they only get 20 minutes to go out there, it might be unsupervised, but it's all, okay, you can play hopscotch, or you can do wall ball, or you can do, this is it. This is all you can do, because you only have 20 minutes. And it puts you in a tough spot, because now you've got the state saying, okay, well, 20 minutes a day, but don't go any higher, because now you're extending the school day. So don't do that.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily what that said.
Yeah, that's not exactly.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm just saying, but I'm
oversimplified.
saying it ties in with the compliance component that Kathy was bringing up.
Right, so I'm wondering about the purpose of it. I mean, if it's to promote SEL, social emotional learning, and to get these kids moving and learning to collaborate with each other unsupervised.
I'm not sure I'm not sure that that's the driver of this particular bill. I'm not sure what the driver is, so I don't know.
Okay. Then, yay, 20 minutes.
Any other comments, Susan? What do you think?
I'm all for it. I took my 6th graders out today. They're crazy.
You're all for what?
Recess.
Well, okay. Well, that's good.
Are you talking about the punishment for homework?
No. You zoned. You totally zoned.
I did not.
You're all ready to go into your
I
policies.
could walk back right through the wall.
I bet you could. No. All right, so I put you on the spot.
I'm for the younger kids having smaller, shorter, multiple.
More frequent,
More frequent.
Me
I'm
too.
for the middle school kids. There wasn't much talk about that. I know the scheduling is kind of a problem. We have the kids on team in the afternoon some days, so that's why we took them out. I'm for
get out of the classroom.
The lack of consequence for not completing homework. I was actually
we don't
doing
like
a
that.
little. Yeah, I was.
I can't
geeking out on the House and Ways.
imagine
It got pushed out to House and Ways.
Oh, did it?
Today,
Yeah. There's our update. There's our parliamentary update then.
Yes. There you go.
Well, alrighty then. That was a great update, everyone. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Thank you for providing your perspective. I think we're going to do, get ready, buckle up. I think we're going to do a couple more of these types of, because I don't know that we know or parents know or what do we do in certain situations.
You know what I appreciated about this particular situation is even for myself, I didn't realize the amount of flexibility that the teachers had. And I was really respectful of that. And especially, and I think I said this in my email to Carolyn as well, every class has a different dynamic to it. And it's not even just about age. I mean, age is one thing, but sometimes it's just the makeup of that, that group. And sometimes that makeup needs a little bit more outside that. But having said all of that, and I strongly support recess, so please hear that, but my job is also the educator in chief. And so I always have to look at balancing that with the compliance issues that we're up against and make sure that that's followed
And
as
maybe
well.
there's creative ways to look at still being compliant, but
But I think that that's what you heard. I think that if that wasn't a takeaway, it should have been a takeaway, because I think our staff and our principals are acutely aware of that.
okay, moving on. Budget and warrant recommended forms, reports, and I think what we're gonna do is table this one to the next agenda. Kathy, I mean, I just looked at Alita and called her Kathy. Hi.
We look alike.
So we're gonna table that to the next meeting, please. Policy review. Susan, you're on.
So there is some confusion.
After tonight, that kind of fits, right?
So there's two different parts of this little policy thing. One is adding that pregnancy or pregnancy-related conditions, those 5 words to the 4 policies, and that is, it's part of the what is it? The pregnancy.
Fairness Act.
No, it's not listed here. It's the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, the Massachusetts. So there's a federal one and a Massachusetts one. And the Massachusetts one went into effect April 1st, which is why the policy subcommittee added the language and approved those to the old policies, even though we've already reviewed section J. We've not reviewed section G, and we've reviewed section A. So there was a blend of some policies were part of sections of the manual that we've gone over with Dorothy, but haven't approved as a whole school committee. So the existing policies on the website are the old policies. So Alita added the language to the old policies. We approved them just so that we could get, we could comply with the law that went into effect. That's what needs to be approved tonight. But any suggestions to those policies, just like any section, any suggestions for revisions to those policies, just like in any section, if you let me know when we're talking with Dorothy about it. Yeah, I know you had
It has the old administration and titles and names
So
in the policies.
Titles and names.
Yes, Monica Visco.
Was named specifically?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And her old title.
Yeah, so that's, okay.
As you said that a lot.
That's in the policy?
That's what we're just saying the same thing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That definitely should not be there.
No,
Yeah,
right.
great.
Yes, so that will be
And I told you
changed,
which
right.
one it was.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
It was just
Yeah.
good catch, Lynn. So well,
Yes.
This is why we want Lynn.
Yeah, so when we meet with Dorothy, we'll make sure those are fixed. Yeah, I guess we could add that. We could add that and change it before the whole section, if everyone is more comfortable with that.
Well, I was just kind of confused that we had that in the old one, and because when I sent it to her, she said, "Well, that's the old one." I don't want to sign it.
So what are you looking for from us tonight?
We just need to, we need to approve the addition of that language to those 4 policies.
On the proposed changes?
Can we approve?
No.
Can we approve adding them to the policies, but not the policy itself?
The policy's approved, the policy's already there.
So these are the existing old policies that we are
Yeah.
operating under, right?
AC, GBA, JB, and JF.
So moved.
So I move that
I just moved.
He moved.
fair enough, second.
So what was so moved?
That we add
Can we
those words to
please
the
stop? I mean, train going off the tracks here, y'all. Let's slow down.
So the policy subcommittee
Thank you.
approved the addition of that language to those 4 policies, and it's our recommendation that the school committee does so.
And that's
also.
AC,
Because
GBA,
it's
JB, JF, BB.
Right.
AC, GBA, yeah, the ones that are listed. Yeah.
Okay.
GBA, JB, JF.
And so those are the ones that are in the packet.
And that came from MASC. That was a MASC.
Right. I don't think anyone's questioning it. I'm just trying to get this process here. So you guys read those policies. You read what's in the packet. If you have any questions for Susan, ask them now like Lynn did. And if you don't, we had a motion by Steve
To approve.
to approve those changes, and we had a second from Mark. Are there any more questions? And if the answer is no, all those in favor? And those opposed? Lynn?
Only because it's in the old policy. I just can't do it. Till it's in the
That's
right one.
okay. And so the motion passes 6-1. That's
Well,
okay.
Some of these policies, there's only the old policy, is what I'm saying. We haven't
got to that section.
We haven't gotten to that section yet with
Right.
Dorothy.
That's
so if
why
you're
they are.
asking
I thought
me
you said it
to,
was approved. Okay, I thought you said J
some
was.
of the sections have been. G has not. We haven't. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave it as no.
I know, it's kind of one of those nights, so we're moving on. We have finally
Okay, so
gloriously,
Then we've got to do F and H.
oh, we have to do that now?
Oh, you want
Okay,
me
keep
to-
going.
We don't have to do
I mean, you know, it's one of those nights.
So I sent you all the proposed changes for section F, which there's only 4 policies. Proposed changes for section H, there's 3. I don't know if you want me to go through
No,
this
I think
chart
it's
that everybody has.
pretty clear. The biggest change is the FA, right? Whenever
Yeah,
possible.
it's the adoption of the massive policy. Yeah.
Right. The cultural as well as educational needs of the community will be considered in planning facility expansions. I love that. I'm all for that.
And then there were 2, the FF and the FFA, the naming new facilities and memorials, we didn't have, so it was a massive policy that they adopted in August of 2016. So
Oh, good. That's a good one then, yeah.
no changes to the retirement of facilities or the HB and HF negotiations of negotiations, legal status, or school committee negotiating agents.
Mm-hmm.
And then the negotiations goals is a massive policy. But we decided not to add that to ours. Sorry.
So tell us why.
I have to look.
HA. School committee recognize educational interest.
Or maybe. Actually,
It's kind of
I think we did. Wait, actually, I think there's a mistake on the chart because I have an add on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it is add. Sorry. Yep.
Which one?
On the
Negotiation.
It's not, but
goals.
it's
It
the
says
HA
add.
negotiation. We are adding it. Sorry about that.
Mhm. Okay.
As I was reading this H part, we hired a lawyer to be with us. So is that our negotiator?
No, the lawyer's not. the
That's
negotiator.
that's the conducting negotiations. This is, the policy's guiding the negotiations, right? The policy's guiding, I gotta be careful with what I just said. This is not really guiding the negotiations. It's guiding
No.
what,
Yeah, you're right. I'm saying yes.
yeah. The policy's just setting a structure
It establishes procedure.
within which we have to, right, operate.
Okay, and then I had another question, whereas it said employees shall have the right to self-organize.
Which one are you on? HA?
HB. It was just, I think it's written a couple of times. And just for myself, only because it's written there, if a teacher goes in and doesn't want to be part of the organization, can they do that?
Of the union? What do you-
Yeah, what if a teacher goes in and says, I don't want to be part of the union?
They don't have to.
Oh, okay. Are they
Is that
representative?
the case?
I'm sorry.
I'm
Given
sorry,
who's in the
we're gonna
zone.
drag you, everyone's in the zone tonight, we're gonna drag you into this discussion. The question Lynn has is if we hire a teacher and they say they don't wanna be part of the union.
They are always part of the union contractually, because we're a closed shop in that sense. But they have the option of paying an agency fee, which would be 80% of the membership rate. However,
Which could go away
the Supreme Court heard a case on February 27th, Janus versus AFSCME of Illinois, where the issue of agency fees, people being required to do it, could be overturned by the Supreme Court. And we are awaiting the decision in the next couple months.
So it's in a local union's best interest to have, is it 50%, is that the threshold? Or
Yeah.
is it state, does it end up being statewide?
I believe you're required to have a 50% threshold, or you have to decertify your
And then you have no
association.
collective bargaining rights.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Susan. The value of having teachers on your school committee. Any other
So
questions?
the question was, would they be represented here if they said no?
They're always, that's what he's talking about, they're always
Always gonna be
Okay.
represented.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And will be even after the decision of the Supreme Court is to end the agency fees.
Okay. So the gentleman that's speaking right now, I'm sorry, is
That's
Kevin
okay.
Keeney. He's the president of our teachers union for the entire district. And he's also a teacher at the Hale Middle School.
And
There's a plug for you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
moving on. Any other questions? No?
So on policies, are these a first reading of the review? Is that the purpose of?
This is the purpose of this part of the,
The FNH?
yeah, the
policies?
FNH is to approve them in form.
Inform, got it.
We've already approved them as a subcommittee.
So are you looking for a vote?
Yes.
Mark, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I move that we approve in form the amendments to policy FA and also incorporate policy FF and FFA and also amend policy HA, once again, all in form for the purpose of subsequent later approval by the school committee.
Oh, should we just, can we broaden it to just this section? Yeah, okay. I don't know if it should be, yeah, all of section F or all of it. I'm pretty sure that's what Dorothy wants us to do.
Sure, I'll amend that to include, to
Okay.
approve as to form all section F and all of section H, and specifically also to positively incorporate the negotiation goals policy, contrary to the way it's represented on the packet.
Okay, give me a second, somebody fast.
Please.
Did you understand that? Thank
Yes.
you. Does somebody have a question or a comment? Okay, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Alita's gonna need some help with.
I'll rewatch the tape tomorrow. So watch this whole meeting tomorrow.
I know, me too. I'm actually, you know what? Never mind, I'm not gonna go there. Okay.
And then section E, I sent you also, but it's way longer, so if you.
It's not on here.
I emailed them.
All right.
I emailed them the same night I emailed
It's in the
these.
packet.
It's, no,
It's
in
in
the
the packet
packet
for
for
next
next
meeting.
time, yeah.
Next meeting.
Yes, thank you. Deep breath.
So if you have any questions, if you want to get them to me.
Forward them.
Are there a lot of changes in it?
It's more extensive, yeah. Not a lot of changes, but there's just way more policy.
I'm not sure if the warrant got signed by the other side of the
You
table.
didn't see that?
I saw a lot.
Yeah, but you didn't see that.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a beacon.
Moving on. We are now moving into old business. Pat, come on up. And we are actually, this next agenda item is OPEB, other post-employment benefits. We ad nauseum had many, I'm sorry, but it's true, but it was good conversation, discussions about establishing an OPEB trust. We had guests in to speak to us about who was going to establish the trust, who was going to manage the trust, and we are now coming full circle. Jan Gottesman, so she's going to be so happy we can put this away. Pat, why don't you tell us what you're looking for, and then I've got the language.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say tonight I have Victoria Chadia, our district treasurer here, and since we're talking about her a lot in these votes, I thought it would be appropriate for her to be
Good
here.
idea. Sorry that you had to stay the whole time.
Oh, no, it's been
a wild night, hasn't it?
So, there were 5 votes for tonight, and then there are some other things too, and I'll go over them at the end. The first vote is to accept Chapter 32B, Section 20 of the Mass General Law, and this will be read to you like all the other votes. And in the second part, the second vote would be in accordance with the act, the show vote would hereby designates the treasurer of the Neshoba Regional School District to serve as the custodian of the OPEB fund. And then the third vote is to establish the sum of money, which is $200,000. And the fourth vote is the treasurer, AKA custodian, be designated as the trustee of the OPEB. And I believe that we voted all of that in the past. The fifth vote is about the what exactly the treasurer will do as custodian of the OPEB fund. And he or she is hereby authorized to execute and deliver the investment agreement of the State Retiree Benefits Trust Fund Board of Trustees on behalf of the Neshoba Regional School District for the purpose of making the representations and warranties, acknowledgements, and agreements on the part of the Neshoba Regional School District, and to be made thereunder. And so those are the votes that we need tonight. After the votes, there's a certificate that will have to be signed by the clerk of the district, which is, again, Superintendent Clenchy. And that document will then be brought forward along with these other votes, and we're having council draft a trust agreement, and all of those documents will be collected and we will form a trust. Unfortunately, the next available date for that is June 1st, which you have to have a 60-day window from the time that you vote it. You vote everything till the trust is actually established. So we're looking at August 1st. So all of this information will come together. I'm going to bring a trust agreement to you perhaps at the next meeting, and we'll look at that, we'll vote it, and then it will be August 1st. Everything will be tied up and finished.
So can you make sure you get that agenda item to Alita for whatever meeting? So I just don't want to forget it.
Sure.
I
believe I've already talked to you about that.
And then I just want to clarify something for people on the third vote for the $200,000 to be appropriated into the investment, into the OPEB fund. That $200,000 is $200 that has been sitting earmarked from the previous year, couple of years. It doesn't include the $75,000 that we have in the proposed budget that's going to the towns to be voted, right?
Not for this year.
Right.
Right. This is the money that, well, for fiscal year 18, I believe we voted 50.
We did.
So we had 150. We're adding 50 for this year, which we will vote for that money to actually go into the trust, even though it's in the budget. And then that's the amount. The total amount of $200,000 will be used to establish the trust.
Right now, but once this budget gets enacted, then we're going to be adding.
Yeah, they come July 1st,
So-
the new fiscal year.
Right. Okay. All right. Are we good? Everybody feel good about this? We're going to zip through these. Do we have to vote each one individually, or can I do them all?
Individually.
Okay. All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Thanks. The Neshoba Regional School Committee hereby accepts the provisions of Chapter 32B, Section 20 of the Massachusetts General Laws as amended by Chapter 218, Section 15 of the Acts 2016, the Act, and established an other post-employment benefits liability trust fund, also called the OPEB fund. I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
And a second from Steve. And all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Vote number 2. In accordance with the Act, Neshoba Regional School Committee hereby designates the treasurer of the Neshoba Regional School District to serve as custodian of the OPEB fund, also referred to as the custodian. Someone move that for me?
So moved.
Kathy, thank you.
Second.
Steve, thank you for the second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Vote number 3. The sum of $200,000 be appropriated as the initial investment into the OPEB fund. Please move it.
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
Steve, second. All those in favor? I don't see any hands.
Yep, they were all
So,
up.
thank you.
Yep.
It's unanimous. And vote number 4, the treasurer or custodian be designated as the trustee of the OPEB fund.
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Vote number 5. This is the best part of the night. The treasurer of the Neshoba Regional School District as custodian of the OPEB fund be, and hereby is authorized to execute and deliver the investment agreement of the State Retiree Benefits Trust Fund Board of Trustee on behalf of the Neshoba Regional School District for the purpose of making the representations and warranties, acknowledgements, and agreements on the part of the Neshoba Regional School District to be made and performed thereunder. Thank you. And Steve, the second. All those in favor? It's unanimous. This was a huge, huge amount of work. Thank you so much. This is so important, establishing this trust. I'm so proud to be part of this group that we did the OPEB trust, we have the stabilization fund, it's a responsibility. Now I just need to get us an assistant superintendent so we can drive the curriculum. I'm done.
I just want to say too, I was thinking too as we were going through this, what a big deal this is. I mean, and I think this particular school committee deserves a huge amount of credit. When you look across the Commonwealth and see how many school districts have not even started down this road, you need to feel really good about your work in this area.
We had a rough day today and night, so we're feeling good, but not that good. Okay.
You should.
So, yeah, we should. Yeah, we should. And thank you, Pat, and your staff for all the work you did on this, and your guidance. Subcommittee reports, budget and warrant. Do you have anything, Kathy, you want to step in?
Just, I think last week we reviewed the budget book and gave some input. We had a very brief meeting today and continued with that. Is there anything else, Mark, that you can think of?
When will the budget book be ready?
I mentioned earlier tonight that it'll be ready sometime late next week. It's already at print.
I know you said that, but you didn't call it a budget book.
I called it a budget binder. You're absolutely
called
right.
it a binder.
I did. I called it a budget
Sure
binder.
it was the same thing.
You're right. You're absolutely right. That was my mistake.
Okay, no worries.
I apologize.
No, don't! Oh my goodness.
PDF.
And personnel?
Personnel, we voted to move the job description forward, and hopefully we could meet on the 23rd to continue work. I'll send out an email.
Okay. And policy, Susan?
We have not met since the last regular school committee meeting.
Okay.
We just scheduled a meeting with Dorothy.
Okay.
For next time.
All right. Elise on CPAC.
I just noticed it says Mr. Crossland.
You're absolutely right.
Mr. Crossland.
I just noticed that.
Alita, can you take note, please?
I could have caught that.
Our
too.
apologies.
No, I didn't notice until just now. CPAC held an event that last night I was unfortunately not able to attend, but they had a presentation about some of the social skills instruction in the district, and they'll be continuing to add events to the calendar, so people should keep an eye out for upcoming. I mean, as summer comes, slow down, but things coming up for new events they'll have planned.
And I'll just mention too that Joan DeAngelis and I met with the leadership of CPAC yesterday. I thought it was a very good meeting. I was very, very pleased with the meeting. I think we covered a lot of ground, so that was excellent.
They're hitting the ground running.
They are. They've got some really good ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some really good ideas. With that said, too, I also want to give a shout out to Isabel Wells, who did an outstanding job. And she came in to say goodbye to everybody the other day. And, and I said to the new leadership, too, that she was just, we really enjoyed working with her. She was just somebody that was really good to work with and so respected her and respected what she brought to the table. So we want to send a shout out to Isabel tonight and say thank you so much for all you did.
Well, she's not leaving completely. She stayed on as the high school rep.
Yeah.
So she was nearly done. And
She's trying to sneak away, but
I'll
y'all
stay.
won't let her.
Yeah, so no, she's wonderful.
She is.
There's so correspondence. Anything of note you want to share? I shared mine on the recess. The consent agenda. They will assume that the meeting minutes of March 28, 2018 and the warrants of April 13, 2018 are all set. Okay, so items for next agenda. We know that we've got superintendent evaluation. Maybe not. No, we're going to move that. We've got more policy reviews. Alita, you've got a couple things for us, right? We're going to move the budget and warrant recommended reports there. And Kathy and Mark, I'm going to encourage you guys to also speak with Neil so that all of those minutes can be done and voted and posted. One of the things that I think we need to add to this calendar and is the approving the graduation requirements.
Oh.
So we need to get something on the calendar. It's late this year, but for 2019, if we could have that at the beginning of January before all of the schedules are built and the kids are assigned their classes, I think that would be beneficial.
Have you done that with us?
We have done it.
Jody Speck usually comes and does it.
Right.
Okay.
Gives us information.
So,
Great, thank
and
you.
but then in 2019, what?
I'm listening.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me something. Then in 2019, we could do it in January, but if we could squeeze it in somewhere.
To this year?
Could there be any advantage to doing it in the fall? Is there any?
I think we need to do it for
Need
this
to
school
delay.
year.
I mean, in the fall.
So you're
Say
talking about,
This
2019.
school year.
are you talking about reviewing the?
Oh, I don't know that they're going to be ready. Yeah, I talked with Dorothy about it.
So you're talking about reviewing the graduation requirements policy,
No, the actual requirements.
which is a policy.
Is it
We have
high
a
school
policy
music?
on it.
Then,
Policy.
if anything's changed, yeah,
And you said January, that's what I put down, is that?
that's what she suggested.
Okay.
She asked me if we've done it.
Okay.
All right. I think that's it. We are done with our regular business. Someone please make a motion to adjourn and save us from ourselves.
To go into
Thank
executive session?
you.
though?
We will go
Executive
into executive session. Kathy, you want to read that for me? Oh, we need to go into executive session because the discussion would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the
Okay, I
District.
move we adjourn the regular scheduled meeting and enter into executive session pursuant to MGL, Section 30A, 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for Unit C, if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. The committee will not reconvene to open session. Committee will adjourn in executive session.
to include Don Lowe,
To
Town
include
Administrator,
Don
and
Lowe,
Superintendent.
Town Administrator and Superintendent McClunchy.
Okay.
Second.
We got 20 seconds, but I think Mark got out there ahead of my Elise. So we'll start with Elise. Elise?
Yes.
Yes. Lynn? Yep.
Yes.
Kathy, yes. Lorraine, yes. Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
Steve, yes. Susan?
Yes.
Yes. All right.